Well, greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt, and I'm going to try to go in and show you some things that we're doing. This method of doing orthodontics is different from what it has been. And I just now realize that we have a whole new system of doing orthodontics in which you can take this material and do any movement of the teeth that I know of that's necessary in doing orthodontics. You can make them up and down. You can rotate anything coming or going. You can expand the arch wires if you don't want to do a palatal separation. There's a point where you can't separate the sutures, but it's further down the line than people thought, where if you use the force in the front of the mouth, that's where the major part of the bone, plus the force in the back, and you can separate sutures up into their 30s and into some 40s. And some people, though, you cannot separate their suture, but you can expand the arches of anybody as long as they're living. And I don't care how old they are or what nationality or anything else, you can do that. I have not run into anybody that we couldn't expand their arches. And shown that in one of these bad cases here that we showed you last week. So anyway, I'm going to get started. And if you want to do this type of orthodontics, I'm going to try to show you the things that you might need to do it. And the one thing is that you need to use a smaller arch wire. So we use an 018 by 025 slot in our brackets that we put in here. And I'll try to cover that where you can see why we do that. Thank you for watching now, and let's get started on this. I'm calling this just plain Dr. Bill Wyatt's Straight Wise Orthodontics with Dr. Bill Wyatt. Just straight wise instead of straight wire. And we can make any movement of the teeth within reason other than separate the sutures as long as people live. We can't do that, but we can enlarge their arches. So watch and see what we do here with this. Now, I'm going to get in here. Now I have to draw on here to tell you what to do. And this method we have of drawing on the picture up here, I think is much, much better than the iPad, where you can go up there and draw on it, but not as conveniently as we can do with the Microsoft method. So this, to me, is the best method going of showing somebody. Now these are little single brackets right here, and you've got a greater inner bracket space. And these brackets have a little vertical hole down there. You can stick things in there with a soft metal, bend them off, and you can hook elastics up here anywhere you want to. And you can rotate the teeth. You get used to putting these brackets on, and you get to a point in the center of that tooth, and you can put these brackets on there. They have torque, tip, in and out, and any of the brackets, you can do that. If they don't like the torque and tip and stuff in one, you can just make your own torque and tip, and in and out to do it. So I use those little bitty brackets to do it. And I was getting them from some American Orthodontics or something back when I was able to do this. And so that's one thing you want to use an 018 slot. And that 018 slot, I'm going to just make a white deal here and show you like this. If this is your tooth, you've got a molar like this, and you come off from this with these brackets are straight out like that with a base on them here. And you've got a vertical slot down through the middle of this thing, some way or another. They're in there. And this is a 018 slot. 018 this way and 025 in this way. Now, the arch wires that we use most all the time are 1725. We call them 1725. It's an 017 arch wire of 025. And I do nearly everything I do with a 1725 rectangular stainless steel wire. And you can put these in here and on the teeth on the lower arch. Let's say make a tooth out here. We use bands on the molars. And I have the manufacturers put the brackets on the lower bands 3/4 of a millimeter. That's a very small distance lower down here to keep the upper cusp from coming down here and hitting the bracket. The upper teeth should lap over the lower teeth like that. To keep that from happening, I want the bracket lower down on these cuspids, and then we just carry everything all the way around the mouth, lower down than it was. You just start off with the molars to go all the way around like that. All right, now I'm going to get back where we were. We'll eliminate that. And I'm going to eliminate this marks that we've got on there and show you. Now on the next deal, we'll show it from the sideways, from the side. The upper teeth, the upper brackets, you want to put a convertible slot in here. And that's a 018 by 025 slot in there for your conventional arch wire. Down below you put the same, put a large opening there for you to use headgear or any kind of larger wire in it. And then you have one up here that you can put your lip bumpers. You can come out of there with your lip bumpers, go around the side. You can add that to it, or you can add intruding arches to level this out. So you need 3 slots in the upper band on the 6-year molars. On the lower molar, you just need 2. You need 2 slots down here. You got a convertible slot here because you may change the shape out of here, and you'll have to bend the wire to go into that. The second molar, you can just have a regular slot. If you use the wisdom tooth, you take the second molar band, put it on the wisdom tooth, and use one of these first molars or something on the other band. Now, we can take round wire and go all the way around the arch to start with. We'll get into that a little later here. Let me see now on the other side of the mouth, it's the same thing. But on the lower bands, on the mesolingual, we put lingual buttons. I don't think I can show that yet. But here, this is a bigger blown up view of the 6-year molars. That's the main thing. If you want to do this type of orthodontics, change over from 022 by 028 wires and use these smaller wires to do that. I'm getting choked up here. I won't be able to talk. I'm going to take a little sip of water. And get my vocal cords where I could speak. I want to do this before I leave this earth, and I'm trying to pass this on. It is such a better method of doing orthodontics. We use these omegas back in here, and we've got a whole deal of showing you how to do that. We put omegas on nearly every arch wire, and we can tie them back against the 6-year molar or against the 6th and the second molar, or we can tie it to a wisdom tooth if you want to. Now, a lot of times just the first wire we put in there, we'll do it out of a woven wire we call a wildcat wire. It has 3 small wires rotated together, but they don't come out any bigger than about the 016 niti. That's what this is right here, an 016 niti wire we start off most of the cases with. Now this upper, let me go back here. I rarely ever band the upper 2nd molar. Just let it come in. We band this one, put it where we ought to, and then that one ought to be lapping over it properly. All right, let's go to something else. Now that's up close. If you have to make a bend in the 2nd molar back here, you've got to convert this. So this slot has a top that you can just jack back it off there, and now you've got a slot just like in a bracket, and you have to use that slot if you change the wire back in here to go in that molar like that. And we tie back from this omega to this, or to the 2nd or 3rd molar to close that space up. You tie one side and go on the other side and tighten it up. And now you've got space in here to move this arch wire back in. Now, here is a situation on the bottom teeth. We just have 2 slots on the bottom. This is a regular slot that we use for lip bumpers, and we make our own lip bumpers out of 018 by 025 arch wires and bend it around and make the lip bumper on it. I'll show you that later. We've got a whole video on making lip bumpers, and we use them a lot. If you're advancing the maxillary teeth, you need to run interference for it and keep the tissue out away from the lip bumper. Keep the lip bumper out in front so that bone can form as you bring these teeth forward. And on the sides, you don't need it so soft you can expand the sides without doing that. But to expand laterally, we have to have buccal root toric plus the large wire force for the lateral to come out, and we carry the teeth out sideways and keep them up and down straight. All right. Here is a real blow up of an upper molar band. This, I think, is an 040 or 045 opening through here. And you can use large wire in there for separating if you want. This slot right here, the regular arch wire goes into it, and it can be converted. You can peel this off, and then you've got to tie that wire in that slot. This is where you use your intruding arch wires, your lip bumpers, and anything else you want to put up above on the upper arch wire. This is your upper molar, and it latches over the lower molar. All upper molars. Now here, the place of brackets, we're going down on the lower molar. I place the brackets on the molar bands 3/4 of a millimeter lower than you normally would to keep the upper cusp from hitting that bracket. You don't want it to hit it down there. So you put them, you can get a company to make these bands for you with all this already on them. So you don't have to make it up yourself every time it comes time you want to use it. All right, this is from the front, looking back, the front upper teeth here. You've got your convertible bracket, your deal for your lip bumper or your intruding arch. Here's for the 014 or 040 Big Daddy arch wire to go in there. On the bottom we don't have anything. We run the big wire underneath here and turn it up here to catch hold to bring the lower molars out like that. The lower, you just need the two deals. You can get a manufacturer to do that for you. And that's what we had. On the lower, we put lingual buttons. I don't think I showed that. Now let me get back here. This is these hub caps. We don't hardly ever use them anymore, but you can just hook those over the small brackets and you don't see them very much. But that's not here nor there as far as doing the other things. Now these are rotating springs, which I never use anymore. I can just rotate those teeth as we expand them out. But that's a rotating arch. Now, if you expand with a lot of expansion and use the Big Daddy arch wire, you have to go in the way it does. If you take somebody with a pointed arch like this and go apart with it that way, and this goes out and the front goes in. So you can reduce the fullness that people have like that. And that's where we're a mixed race of people. There's a little bit of everybody you think about in Americans right here. Now, when I worked over in Africa for about 3 years, and I took my whole staff to a school to do their orthodontic work and to do their fillings. And there's a school full of, they had about over 200 kids in that school. And they were the one tribe of African people. And I went in, I thought, well, I'll have to straighten a lot of teeth here. I didn't have to straighten a single person's teeth in that school. Everyone were bimaxillary protrusive, and they had large African teeth, and they fit perfect in there. And every one of them had nursed for about 2 to 2.5 years. Their airway was open. It developed normally that way. But let's get back to these teeth that we put. We're going to come in here and use a Big Daddy to expand it. You've got to put a rectangular wire in the arch slot. And then you put your large wire out here. You can put all the lateral force you want, but you won't put the buckaroo torque on it. Let me get over here, close up a little more. Now, if you want to go low with the brackets, it doesn't hurt much. These teeth are straight. You can be up here, but you can come off of the molar about up here and then go down and come back up and now back to the molar again. Put these brackets down so low that people don't even see them. And you work on that, and yes, you keep the teeth across the top of the mouth level. When you get down to the cuspid, you've got to change. You go down, and now you level this off, coming across here. And then start back up on the other side to where but then your molar bands are lower. The brackets on them are lower too, so that helps out. I'm getting dry at the mouth again. I'll just take another sip of water. I'm getting old, but I want to pass this on to as many people as want to around over the world. If you want to do this type of orthodontics, then you can use this, and it is better to do it with this than it is the heavier arch wires. So we'll go on to the next deal. Now, if your laterals are thinner, the cuspids are thicker, so in putting a rectangular wire, you're out away from the cuspid here. It brings it out, so that allows the edge of the cuspid and the other teeth to be lined up like that. Now, if you put the band back here and it goes down lower on this, don't worry about it. You convert this, now you bend the arch wire, come down and go across here, and then you tie it into that form, like that. Now we keep the teeth the same level in here. Now here the wire is going in the 6-year molar. I'll take that back. That's in the, well, that's the 6-year molar, yes, on the bottom. This is the bracket. This is the convertible bracket, and you have to drop this wire down. Now these teeth are lined up good, but we had to bend this arch wire in and go that way. Now we come to making space in the arches. I think we saved a whole slew of these lower anterior bands, and we made the little thing that stops the tongue thrust problem that you have. And I want to quit there, and we'll come back and we'll do another deal on things like deals where we change the way the person eats, the way they rotate their teeth and stuff like that. Thanks for watching. But what we're doing is going over the things you need to do. Now let me, while I'm here, on the lower bands, we put these little deals that have a base and then a little top knot deal. And you put them in the fat box of the tongue, put an O-ring on them down there. That's the lingual, mesial, portion of the molar teeth, and up above we put cleats on them. And I don't think I have one showing the upper. All right, I'm going to quit on that and come back again with another deal in just a little bit to show you this is separation. So you go in to separate the teeth like that. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to close up and we'll pick up showing other things that you use if you want to do this type of orthodontics. Thanks again, Dan. I'm going to close out.